So this is kind of like day one of the adventure that's about to begin. Just close that. So I've just pretty much finished cleaning the apartment. So I took a photo, turned the screen. So I've pretty much finished cleaning the apartment. I just got to vacuum it again. Get rid of some of the foot marks that I've left around. And just kind of throw out some things, and just waiting for my lunch to cool down now, so that's why I'm making this video. Here's the balcony. There's Melbourne over there. Yeah, so I'll be recording a fair bit of this journey, I think, and it kind of all starts today. I mean, it started probably a year ago. I wanted to kind of just get away and go traveling and try and get out of the system of just working every day of your life, just to have something average at the end of it all. So today is the first real day of that commitment, having now pretty much emptied the apartment. I'll go to the real estate soon and hand back the key, or hand them all the keys and stuff, so they can try and rent this place out as soon as they can. Going to Geelong later today. So I got a motel there for the night because the, don't know if you'd call it a ferry, the ship that goes to Tasmania that we're going to go on is tomorrow morning, and you got to get there at about 6 a.m. So Geelong's probably about 90 minutes from here. So we'd be leaving probably 4:30 if we didn't book accommodation in Geelong. And then we'd still be trying to put the mattress in the van, the fridge in the van that's been in this apartment. We'd be getting up at probably 2:30 a.m. trying to get ready for that. So to save all that drama, we've booked in accommodation at Geelong. So maybe in about 2 hours I'll eat my lunch and finish tidying up this place, hand the keys in, and then head over to Geelong. Looking forward to it. It's been pretty stressful actually, getting rid of everything, even though this is just a 1-bedroom apartment. Just in a year and a half you just accumulate a lot of stuff, and it's not just that year and a half, I brought stuff here as well. So trying to fit everything into the storage cage, selling just lots of stuff. It only really just kind of came into place yesterday, getting rid of the last things I was selling. Actually couldn't sell like this weight ball that I had, so I had to kind of squish that in the cage as well, which luckily that worked because I was running out of room desperately. So yeah, it's been really busy since I actually left. Last day of school was 20th December. Pretty much straight away I started trying to kind of get this organised, so get the real estate organised, transfer all the bills you get, trying to get them all sent to the real estate so they can handle it, organising spare sets of keys. What else? Thinking about insurance and things. I actually got to probably buy some today or tomorrow. What else? And then just all the furniture, just putting that on for rent, getting rid of that, trying to do it in a way so that it's not too inconvenient to still live here, so we still have some things. Just the amount of times I've gone up and down the elevator, like there's a lot of work in getting a place ready to rent after you've lived in it. Yeah, it's taken a lot of time, and I'm glad it's finally done, because if I had to go back to school yesterday or whenever they started again, I would have been super unhappy, because I didn't really have much of a break. Of course, it was Christmas and New Year's. Did a few things. I did spend about probably 2 weeks making resources for my Teachers Pay Teachers website. But I'd say half of the 6 weeks, so yeah, 3 weeks, has been spent getting this organised. And there was a few things I had to fix that don't bother you when you own it, but when you rent it out, you have to fix them. Won't say what those things were, but had to fix a few things. Well, like door handles and things. So these door handles, put them on, I had to replace the old ones because they were basically, the sun had kind of destroyed them. Cleaned the windows pretty well. Used to be a window cleaner, so just cleaned all the windows yesterday, so they're looking good. I mopped the floor yesterday. Fair few hairs and stuff on it again now, so I'll have to give that a good vacuum. And just the footprints that you get after you've walked on it, they just come back quick. And it's just a rent. Like, I know it's just a rental, but if you want to get the best tenant, you know, you got to have it looking good. Otherwise, they're going to go elsewhere, and then you get left with the shitty tenants who destroy your stuff. So yeah, I've done my best to get it all ready. I mean, the walls, I'll show you. They're not perfect. Well, maybe the camera quality's not that good, but there's a few kind of scuff marks and things everywhere. But overall, it looks pretty happy to get here, and nothing's gone wrong. Yeah, so just like I said, this is just going to be the first video I'm planning on kind of recording a lot of what happens this year, just because I know it's different. The last 3 years I've been working in school, so a year as a teacher's aide, so just supporting the teacher while I did my master's in teaching, and then the last 2 years teaching full-time. And it's just a bit boring, and it was stressful too, because the amount of work I was having to kind of do at home, so I felt like I was an effective teacher, was not worth it really for my end. That amount of overtime in construction, when I used to work in construction, or just those work hours, window cleaning, used to make a lot more money. And I know money is not everything, but everything's just so expensive these days. Like, it matters if you want to have a nice home and nice car and nice holidays, you got to be making a good amount of money. And I just don't, if I was only working 40 hours a week as a teacher, I think, you know, that would have been okay, but I was doing a lot more, and so for that, the time I was working and the stress, it just wasn't worth the money for me. So might do some casual teaching this year. Gonna have a good crack at this teachers pay teachers and make resources as I travel. So yeah, this will be the first video of many throughout this year, just kind of documenting what I'm doing. First of all, going to Tasmania. Got a month booked from tomorrow, all of February, coming back early March. Then got a trip to China, booked in the middle of March, just for 9 days, like through TripADeal, just like a package kind of thing. Then when we come back, there's not too much of a plan. I've got to organise getting a passport again, because mine expires later this year. And then once I get that passport, just travelling through Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. Kind of half travelling, half trying to make resources. So I really want to make these resources this year, so there'll be a few kind of times along the trip I might just lock in for 2 weeks, just camping somewhere and just try and pump out some good resources. And then later in the year, maybe after July, because I probably next year, later in the year, I'll probably head overseas. So just for kind of tax reasons, I don't really want to work before 1st of July this year. Just so when I work, so I'll get a decent tax return this year, hopefully, because of that, because I've only worked kind of 2/3 of the year. And then next financial year, again, I'll only be working less than half a year, so I should get a good kind of tax back in 2027. So that's the general plan for now anyway. Things always change, things go wrong, new ideas kind of come up, but I do want to be pretty consistent with this teachers pay teachers resource creation this year. Not a lot of great signals coming from it at the moment, but it's kind of the best option, I think, for now, for trying to change my lifestyle to something that I'd like to have, which is kind of just the freedom of time to travel, to do what I'm going to do now, but without having that stress of returning to a lifestyle that you don't enjoy that much just to fund it every few years. And also, like, this is a 1-bedroom apartment. In 30 years I could own this. When I'm 60, I don't want to be living in a one-bedroom apartment. No, that's just not the future I have in plan for myself. So, what's that? If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll get what you always got. And I'm not really liking what I'm getting at the moment, so trying to change it up. And yeah, today's the first day of that journey. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to be documenting this. I won't be doing a video every day. I don't think it's going to be that exciting, but maybe every couple of days I'll try and put something up, just to keep anyone who's interested in the journey along the way. It'll be a lot of just me walking and talking and seeing stuff, but this is kind of like this video series or this blog. It's going to be the consistent theme throughout is going to be me trying to, I guess, change my lifestyle, which I think I've done that a few times already. I kind of tried to join the army when I was 18, got in, didn't like it, didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time, so kind of just floated around in construction. Did some good things during that time as well. Then I did a science degree because I really liked learning about how things worked. Went traveling, was hoping to kind of get a science related job overseas, didn't happen, so came back and did a master's in teaching. Kind of took advantage of the crisis in teaching at the moment in Victoria, and I think in most Western countries they had some good incentives to get into it, and I've definitely paid my dues, I think, with the last 2 years of teaching full-time. I've paid back whatever benefits I got from those incentives. Don't mind teaching, don't want to turn this too much into teaching because it's more about the journey. Don't mind teaching, just there's too much admin, and you can't just stop when it's the end of your shift kind of thing. You could, but you'd be a really shit teacher unless you've kind of got it really sorted out and you're just amazing with your time. I don't really like I was a shit teacher if I just did 38 hours a week for teaching science, and I think a lot of science teachers that I've spoken to over the last 2 years kind of feel like that. It's a difficult subject to teach because it's just, you got all this prac stuff that you got to organise, and you got to know like huge amount of content if you actually want to be effective at kind of teaching it, and if you're not, it's luck of the draw if your students are a good class or not, and how they're going to behave throughout it. So anyway, that's it for me. That's the start of the journey. Last look at the apartment. So last time for me seeing it. Balcony is clean, just got to put some stuff away. I've got the dryer on at the moment. All the cupboards are empty, just got to kind of put everything in the bin or downstairs. Bathroom's nice and clean. Got the dryer running at the moment with some clothes in it. Bedroom's pretty tidy. And yeah, stay tuned. Alright, I've just arrived at the motel near Geelong. So I'm just going to do some admin now on my laptop. There's just a couple of things I need to sort out prior to going to Tasmania tomorrow. So going to sort those couple of things out, and then on the drive here just 5 minutes ago, it looked like a really nice kind of a path along the river for like riding a bike or running, and the bike's not too difficult to get out of the van at the moment, so I think I'll go for a bike ride in about an hour, and then I'll have to pick up Paola when she gets here later, because she worked today and then she's going to catch the train here from east side of Melbourne, and Geelong's on the west side of Melbourne, so she might not be here till probably about 6 o'clock, I reckon. And then we need to have a look at what things we're allowed to bring on the boat and what things we're not allowed to bring, because there's kind of, like fruit and fish and that kind of stuff. There's just rules on what you can and cannot bring. We've got some apples and things, so I won't say what else, but there's some things that might need to be thrown out. It also depends on how strictly they look for these things. The van's pretty messy. It looks pretty messy at the moment, so they're limited into how much stuff they're going to go through. So we'll see how serious it is. Change might throw out some things tonight just so that we're ready to go tomorrow. And then also might try and organise some dinner as well. Not sure if we're just going to get some pizza or if we'll just cook some stuff that we've already got. There's some noodles, and I don't think we're allowed to bring eggs, so we might be able to eat those eggs with the noodles. And then in the morning, well, let's have a look here. I've got a microwave and some coffee and a toaster. So I was thinking of maybe making some scrambled eggs, but there's no frying pan. I know you can do it in a microwave, but I don't think it tastes very good. So yeah, I might have to think of something for breakfast too. So that's what's happening at the moment. I'll go for a bike ride soon. So I haven't had a chance to go for a bike ride. Quick update. Just doing the online insurance stuff that I was doing just took longer than I thought. But a good thing is now I've got insurance for my van continuing tomorrow. So I changed insurer because I wasn't really happy with how expensive the last insurance was. So got a new one now. It's actually better and cheaper. So got roadside assistance with it. So that's good. That'll make traveling in the van a bit easier or a bit less stressful. And then I've also got landlord's insurance now for my property starting next week. Got a few add-ons for that, so it's pretty much fully covered for everything really. So I feel pretty good. Got that sorted for what I think's a good price. So yeah, the car insurance was about $750 for third-party fire and theft with roadside assistance, and it was about $450 for the contents insurance with the add-ons of if there's like some kind of a lightning strike that blows up all the fuses, it covers that. It covers if the tenants like deliberately damage stuff, and then it also covers any kind of legal disputes to do with tenants not paying and stuff, as well as the contents insurance for the curtains and the flooring and any other kind of fittings. So happy with that. I think with the rent that the real estate think they're going to get, which should be above $450 a week or thereabouts, should be breaking even, I think, in the end. I thought the insurance was going to cost more. So yeah, didn't get to go for a bike ride because getting that all sorted took longer than I thought. And I'm just having a coffee now, and then Pola's arriving at the train station in about 20 minutes. So just going to go pick her up, and then we're going to get something to eat. So yeah, it always happens. Like, you want to do something and then things just take longer than what you want them to. But it's going to make traveling a bit less stressful now. Just got some insurance to cover. If I damage someone else's property, that's the main thing. And I've also got the roadside assistance, which should, it's the most probable thing I'm going to need. Don't have comprehensive insurance, but the van's not really worth a huge amount anyway. So I don't think, and I'm not 10 years of driving, I've never kind of accidentally crashed a vehicle or anything, so don't think I'm missing out by not having that. And the contents insurance is good. And then the strata, they've got the the building contents covered. The building insurance covered. So yeah, a bit of a boring last 2 hours. Wasn't what I wanted, but good to get those things sorted to kind of ease my mind on this journey. So we're just waiting to get on Spirit of Tassie now. We got up about 5:45 this morning, and a 20-minute drive to the Spirit of Tassie. So we're just going through all the security checks now. They might look inside the van, I'm not sure. We've got a few things here we might get rid of if they say we're not allowed them. But yeah, that's all that's happened. So we got through the security check. We just handed in some apples and a banana. I think that was it. Because they put like a sticker on your car and give you a note, and then that kind of flags the Tasmanian authorities to check you again. And so to avoid dealing with that, just handed them the 4 apples and the banana. You could bring in canned fish and eggs, so that was good. Don't have to throw out those things. Now we're just waiting, just waiting to get on the boat. So here's us just waiting now. So not sure, I think it's about another 30 minutes or something. They start boarding 45 minutes before, and the time now is 6:45. Well, they should be boarding soon, actually. We should be going on soon. Yeah, so that's it. So we're in Tasmania now, in Paola. Haven't filmed much lately because there's been too many people around. I don't like to film myself when there's people everywhere. So we're just gonna go along the coast now, westwards. Just stopped at the beach. What's it called? Pebble Beach? No, Coles Beach. Just 5 minutes from Devonport. Not traveling that far today, maybe 50 k's all up. I'll try and just do some quick videos along the way. So nice looking beach here. Just gonna go walk around and look at the rocks and what floats up on the shore. But yeah, that's all that's happened. We stayed at a hotel last night. It's a nice place, ate some Turkish food, and yeah, that's it. So we're just at a train museum now, maybe 15 minutes from Devonport. So just walking around looking at all the front bits of trains. We're going to go on a train in about 30 minutes, so that should be just got all these old kind of train, what do they call them, locomotives, I think, like the front driving part of the train. They've got a Thomas the Tank train down there too. But I like looking at all this stuff, seeing how society's progressed. In the in the museum part, they showed just like, you know, they've got the information about inventions and things, how people were always improving the design of just like the water pump injectors and things, new designs from French engineers and German engineers. It's good to see how, yeah, all these things have evolved and people are always finding new and better ways of doing things. So yeah, might film on the train too. There's Paola having a walk around. So just driving along now. I won't say where I am, might get in trouble, but there's a poppy field behind me, which is the plant that's used. It's a plant that's used for heroin and like lots of medical uses and stuff too. That's why they use it. But yeah, that's where heroin comes from, and apparently Tasmania makes a lot of it for the world. And this is the time of year when they harvest it. So I remember seeing that on the ABC a while ago, and just happened to drive past one of the fields now. So we're near Penguin, a town maybe 30 minutes west of Devonport, and we're just eating some dinner now. So just got some like sachet soup, how do you pronounce that? Tomato and basil, or tomato and some kind of cheese. And then we just cook some, we've got a rice cooker here because we've got a 1000-watt converter. And the rice cooker is under that limit, so we can use that to heat up water, cook some pasta. And I've put some tuna and tomato and some cheese in there. So yeah, this is the first day, full day in Tassie. Yeah, just eating lunch now. It's pretty early, about 5 o'clock, but I like to do that so that we can kind of pack up, and when we're not like at an official campground yet, it's good just to not have the tables and stuff out during the night. Yeah, it's just better to get things done while there's still light, and then you can sort yourself out later on. So that's what we're doing. So we started the hike. We're trying to find Mount Duncan. It said it was a 4-hour walk there. I think it was return. We did end up seeing any of the signs for Mount Duncan on the road. We walked along it for maybe 45 minutes. We saw signs that were saying go to like a fern tree walking track, and then we came across kind of like an intersection that had a number of signs on it, but none of them were the Mount Duncan. So we ended up walking down this track that said it was a 45-minute return to I think it's the Leven River or something similar to that, and that's where we are now. So nice looking river. I wish I brought my fishing rod, but we were supposed to be walking up a mountain and not down to the river, but that's what happened. So I might go for a swim actually, and I can see something green in the water that looks like a lure, so maybe I'll try and grab that as well. Oh yeah, because the sun's out now. There's something just there. Oh, I'm not looking at the right thing. Just there. Looks like a lure. So lures are expensive, so I wouldn't mind holding on to one if I find one. But yeah, that's what's happened. Might go for a swim. Sun's out now, which is good. I went in the water yesterday when I went fishing just to retrieve the lure that got snagged a couple of times, and the water wasn't too cold, so I think this is going to be a similar case here. Different river, but yeah, it should be pretty similar. Nice temperature, I think. Just at Penguin now, a town, not sure how far, maybe 45 minutes to the west of Devonport now, if you didn't stop. At a beach location now, and it's quite good. So there is a nice kind of traditional beach over there with nice fine sand. I'll go over there in a moment. But this bit here is pretty cool. Like I don't really know that much about geology at the moment. It's one of my goals actually in making resources for my teacher's website, to make a really large and quite good kind of geological based resources for students in high school. So I'd like to learn more about this stuff. I'm fairly sure this is what they call igneous rock, which is like volcanic rock back when the magma either came to the surface or formed under the earth, whether it's intrusive or extrusive. And depending on how quickly or slowly it cools down, kind of influences how large these different shaped kind of formations become. I'm not going to try and guess by looking at how big they are, how quickly or slowly they cooled. But yeah, I'm fairly sure this is the igneous rock. So it's like original rock. It hasn't been grinded away at and kind of rebuilt, as is the case for sedimentary and metamorphic rock. This is like the original solidification of the Earth's materials when it came up to the surface at some stage in the past, whether that's 1 billion years ago or I don't know, 500 million years, or maybe 1.5 or 2 billion years. I'm not quite sure how old this stuff is, but it's nice to look at and to see. You find different creatures living in it. Sorry, it's a bit windy now. The closer you get to the water, you start to get a bit more life. So we've got some snails there, mostly snails in this little pond area here, or splash zone maybe we could call it. So we got snails there. And then as we get closer to the water, we start to get the barnacles, which are those usually grey coloured kind of things with a little slit on them, and they love being in the splash zone. So here's some barnacles all over the world, always on boats or anything floating in the ocean. Any kind of drop off the surface ocean water, every drop of surface ocean water pretty much has some baby barnacles in it, just hoping that they land on something solid and can grow to become an adult. We've got some other things here too. I'm not quite sure what these red things are. They've got a bit of an opening, got some tentacles kind of poking out there. Some kind of a marine creature. We've got some other kind of shell-based life here. I'm not really sure what we'd call that. That's a snail, but there's some other ones here. Then we got this kind of coral stuff here. I'm not sure what we'd call that either. Now, I can't see the screen with my glasses on because they're polarized and it works as the lens. So that's where I am. Just having a look around now at all this kind of stuff. I don't see anything that we would traditionally be interested in, like fish or crabs or anything like that. No starfish, just lots of barnacles, those red things, the seaweed stuff, snails, stuff you find in most kind of coastal areas like this. I'm not sure why you get more like crabs in some areas than others, or fish in some places than others. Something I'll work on figuring out soon enough. So I'm going to go have a walk over to that beach over there, just look around for a bit, try and figure out why there's such a difference. There's like a really sharp difference between this rocky area and the nice kind of beach. See if I can come up with some idea of why that has occurred. And then we're going to keep driving, and then we're going to keep driving westward to the next town. Just down the road from the last video I made, not that far actually. Yeah, I can actually see where I was before. So we were just over there. Oh, actually no, we're further than that, sorry. Probably about 3 k's back was where the last video was with all the rocks. And this place, I think it's called Sulphur Point. It's actually quite interesting, all the rocks here. Not that I know much about them, but you can see here all the rocks kind of have a formation of going like on this kind of an angle. As far as I know, that's either in the past these rocks got tilted that way, or they got tilted all the way past 90 degrees, so maybe about 100 degrees in that direction. And then running through all of the rocks that are tilted on their side this way, you actually get all of these what are they called, the quartz kind of rocks forming throughout them. So maybe the light's a bit awful, but you can see it a bit better here maybe. Running like a, what do you call that, perpendicular to the rock that's on its side, which is the majority of the area that I'm in. You also get these, I'll call it seams, I think they're called seams, running this way throughout the whole area that I'm standing. You can see it here too. And there's quite some nice coloured rocks. There's quite some nice coloured rocks in all of this, if I can find some. So you can see here it's a bit messy, but you can see that quartz kind of rock running up through there and up that way. And in these, I spent a full day, maybe 10 hours of reading about how kind of gold forms heterogeneously in the Earth's surface. And not that I know a huge amount about it, but what I learned in that day was that gold dissolves in kind of like the same conditions as which quartz does. And so the main kind of theories around why gold is distributed where it is in the world, no one really knows the answers, but these little kind of crevices that form between the majority of the Earth's rocks, high kind of pressure forces liquid up through these little seams, and gold and other minerals and elements are dissolved in it. And then when the conditions kind of change a bit and the gold precipitates, so it can no longer be dissolved in the solution or in the liquid, it starts to form solids, and the same conditions in which gold forms solids is the same as the quartz and other things. So when we see all these quartz kind of cracks running perpendicularly to the majority of the rocks here, that's where some stage in the Earth's history, what they think has happened is that the pressure within the Earth exerted, you know, the liquids up against kind of the underneath of all these rocks that have already solidified, and then just through millions of years, this high pressured, high temperatured, and highly concentrated mixture of liquid water, I think, just with stuff dissolved in it, has formed its way through all of these kind of cracks in all the rocks. Maybe it's created the cracks, maybe the cracks created themselves just through all the movement of the plates and things. And then, yeah, just once it cooled down a bit, when the temperature of a liquid cools down, it can't dissolve as many substances, and then the gold and the quartz precipitate. So maybe that's what I'm looking at here. Long story short, I'm not really sure. I do need to read into this stuff a lot more so that I actually know what's going on. But it's quite interesting, this place to look at. And just 2 kilometers back down the road, the rock formations were quite different. I think they were definitely the igneous rocks, whereas what I'm looking at here, I wouldn't think they'd call it sedimentary. I feel like that's only layering on the surface. I think this is what would be called the metamorphic rock, where it's kind of been compacted down under the earth, forms a really hard layered kind of shape, if that's not the right word, but forms these really strong layers. And I think that's what I'm looking at here with all of these, I think I'll call them quartz seams, running through perpendicularly to these rocks. So you can see the quartz kind of coming up there, and there was one there, and it kind of, the rocks tend to break where these seams are as well. So easier on these smaller samples to actually see it. So you can see it there much more clearly what's going on. And you get some different kind of colors too. So here we've got these kind of yellowy ones, I'll call it, but then you get these more red kind of ones. I guess that's just due to different ratios of elements in the rocks. And just looking at biological stuff, we've actually got some starfish or of some sort here. Right, one of them was just moving, this one's moving just there. And then if I lift up this rock just here, there'll be some crabs. Oh, they were just there. Those ones have disappeared, maybe under here. I made it too muddy. Alright, let's find some crabs just for this video. There's a big rock here, but I don't think I'll be able to pick it up, so let's have a look. See if I can get this one up. Oh, we got some of these, whatever those things are. No crabs. Maybe under this one. Oh, there's some. Bit muddy. And oh, there's one. Might be able to find it before it disappears. So we've got a bit more marine life here too than what we had at the last place. Not really sure why the conditions favour life here and not elsewhere. The water's the same. I don't think the water's going to change much. The water's not going to change much over 2 kilometers, but it's obviously the rocks must better facilitate here life than what those black igneous rocks did at the other place. I know black absorbs more heat, so maybe it's too hot for the living creatures there to kind of cling on to it in summer, whereas here, because you've got these kind of vertical formations as well, maybe they get a lot more shade, a lot more material to kind of grab onto, especially for the crabs. Actually, there's a lot more things to here to hide under than at that other place. So what would that come down to? Temperature could be a plausible reason. Probably just better habitat, I think. Here, having things to hide under gives the crabs much higher chance of survival, I guess, from predators. But then I guess you got to think about what they eat. So whatever they eat must have a greater chance of living here too. So I guess the extra shade provided might do that, but there was shade at the other place too, so even that's not really that good of an answer. Maybe I'll read into it and find out. But yeah, quite an interesting place, the rock formations here. And if I went back, I'll over that way about 200 meters, there's heaps of seagulls. There's all like green kind of algae formed on the rocks there. Not really sure why it's doing that there and nowhere else. Here we've got lots of, I guess we'll call them clams, forming in all these gaps here. When the tide will come up, they'll get their water. And we've got barnacles here. We've got a lot of different snail types here. We've got whatever kind of snail that is. We've got these black ones. Got whatever that one is. Yeah, a lot more life here than there was at the rocks just 2 k's down. And I think the rocks here, for me anyway, they're much more interesting. They tell some kind of a story. There was kind of like a point over here somewhere where you could actually see the shape, the direction in which the rocks were tilted kind of changed. It looked like the earth had actually kind of like hinged on that position, and you could actually see the seams kind of like twist around that point there. So, and the rocks, they kind of go on like a nice angle at one bit, and then as they come a bit around that corner, they start to keep the same angle but just tilted maybe 45 degrees from it. So that was kind of interesting. I don't really understand how that would have happened, but yeah, leave that to the geologists and maybe I'll figure it out one day. But yeah, quite an interesting place to come and to think about these things and how they happen. You know, the world didn't have to be this way, but it is, and so it's nice to try and think about what caused, or what processes cause these things to happen. And then even over here we've got again another kind of rock that I've just noticed. So here we've got the ones with the seams going through them, which is what I think I've pointed out before. But then here we've got, like, I guess this would have to be sedimentary, wouldn't it? We've got all these kind of smaller rocks glued together by this kind of, I don't know, layer of dirt almost. It's pretty solid though. But you can see it's just made up of all other sorts of rocks that have fallen in some kind of thick mud or been pressurized under the earth, and they've started to kind of glue themselves together into like a new rock. But the individual rocks are highly distinguished within it. So I guess what we could deduce from this is that, assuming that these quartz here are the same age as the ones that run through that, that then this whole rock must have formed at some stage much later than at which all of this formed, because you would have had to wait for these rocks to kind of wear away through natural weathering and the movement of the earth and whatever, and then they've layered somewhere, and then over time they've kind of compacted by this, I guess, dust that blows around on the earth, or stuff that settles under the ocean, and then it's formed into this hard kind of substance here. And there's a few of them. There's one there, there's a couple just here. This one's quite good to look at actually. So a lot going on here, and I'd be lying if I said I knew how it works. But there's a lot to learn from this place if you spend some time thinking about it. Again, we've got these quartz veins running everywhere, and I apologize if they're not called quartz veins, but I think that's what they're called. So yeah, quite interesting stuff here. interesting for me anyway as I get older, and I'd like to know how all these things happen.